One pilot asked the other, "Why did you cut off fuel?" The other responded, "I did not do so." For the last 48 hours, this final conversation between pilots of Air India flight AI-171 that crashed within seconds of takeoff has become the center of discussion and analysis as to what happened in those final seconds before the plane crashed, leading to over 270 deaths. The official preliminary probe report of this crash is out. It gives some information, some background here and there, yet it manages to throw up a lot of fresh questions. Much of them are, of course, technical in nature, primarily revolving around the fuel control switch. How and why that was turned off in the first place is still a mystery. Remember, this is a preliminary report. The first page itself clarifies that the information is subject to change as the probe goes along, and whatever is available currently is just preliminary. But the internet is full of speculations, commentary, and analysis. Aviation experts too have weighed in on this. One side suggests that the report may be hinting at pilot error, and that there indeed may be a pilot error is what one section is saying. The other side says that it is too premature to blame the pilot, and even worse, to float a suicide angle involving one of the pilot. The government says, do not jump the gun as of now. Air India too has spoken out on the issue, so has Boeing, and some airlines have already quietly began checking the fuel control switches in their aircrafts. So we'll bring you up to speed with all the latest developments in this story. Hello and welcome, I'm Shubham Chauhan. Let's get started. So first, let's look at what Air India has had to say. MD and CEO Campbell Wilson said that the preliminary report has provided greater clarity, but also opened additional questions about one of India's worst aviation tragedies. In a message to Air India employees, Wilson emphasized that the report did not find any mechanical or maintenance issue with the ill-fated aircraft, its engines, its fuel quality, and the pilot's medical status. Wilson said that the employees must focus on this supposed clean sheet to Air India rather than paying attention to media speculation. He also reminded Air India employees that the investigation is far from over and that they shouldn't draw any conclusions of their own, as the preliminary report did not specify the cause of this air crash. Campbell Wilson also assured that every Boeing 787 aircraft part of the Air India fleet was checked within days after the accident, and all of them were found fit for flying. So that was Air India's message. Next, let's look at what Boeing has had to say and some corrective action that has been taken by airlines. Remember, the AAIB report that came at about 1:30 a.m. Indian Standard Time on the 12th of July, Saturday, revealed that AI-171's fuel switches were cut off. Thereby, the plane lost thrust. An attempt was made to relight the engines, but it was too late by then. Now, this 15-page report added that there was no evidence of a sabotage or bird hit, but the report doesn't make it clear as to was there any sort of manual intervention as far as the fuel switch was concerned. It just says that the fuel switch transitioned from run to cut off and then transitioned from cut off to run. Now, the US Federal Aviation Administration and Boeing have privately issued notifications that the fuel switch locks on Boeing planes are safe. News agency Reuters reported this story citing sources. The FAA's notification that was seen by Reuters said that although the fuel control switch design, including the locking feature, is similar on various Boeing airplane models, the FAA does not consider this issue to be an unsafe condition that would warrant an airworthiness directive on any Boeing airplane models, including the model 787. Boeing also referred to FAA's notification in a message that was sent out to airlines in the past few days, saying that the company as in Boeing, is not recommending any sort of action. Remember, the AI-171 report, the probe report, does point out to a 2018 notification of FAA that had flagged some Boeing aircrafts having reported problems with the locking of this fuel switch. The notification had then given two recommendations to airlines with Boeing aircrafts, including the 787-8 series, which one of them was the one that crashed on the 12th of June. The two recommendations were, first, check the lock system while the plane is grounded. If there's a problem, fix it. And two, some specific models, as the notification on your screen points out, these can have advanced locks installed in these aircrafts. The preliminary report that came out on Saturday points out that this notification or warning wasn't mandatory. And since it was not mandatory, Air India did not carry out these recommendations or didn't do these checks, is what the report is pointing out. So in short, today, both the FAA and Boeing are saying that these fuel control switches are safe and there is nothing to worry about it. But clearly, airlines do not want to take any chance. The Economic Times reported this morning that Etihad Airways has asked their engineers to inspect the locking mechanism of the fuel control switches in the Boeing 787s that they have. The report added that Singapore Airlines has also started the process to check their fuel control switches. Reportedly, South Korea's government is preparing to instruct all domestic airlines operating Boeing aircrafts to carry out inspections of fuel switch mechanisms. Now let's move on to what the pilots have had to say. Alpa India, which is the Association for Airline Pilots of India, has rejected this preliminary report, saying that the pilots cannot be blamed outrightly for the crash whatsoever. Alpa India has also questioned how this report was selectively leaked to Western media outlets like Wall Street Journal before its official publication. Now, this association that represents over 800 pilots of airlines and helicopter companies in India is planning to seek legal action as well. Legal action to ensure its members are part of the probe going further as far as the Air India crash is concerned. Alpa India President Captain Sam Thomas, told PTI that they want transparency to ensure that the full picture comes out. In fact, Rajya Sabha MP Priyanka Chaturvedi has also taken up this matter with the Union Civil Aviation Ministry, saying that the ministry must come clear on certain aspects of this report, from its weird late-night publication time to selective leaks to foreign media outlets.
मेरे 4 कंसर्न्स हैं। पहला कंसर्न ये है कि ये इंटरिम इन्वेस्टिगेशन रिपोर्ट जनता के बीच में आने से पहले उसको इंटरनेशनल न्यूज एजेंसीज को लीक कर दिया गया, चाहे वो वॉल स्ट्रीट जर्नल जैसे अखबार हो, चाहे वो न्यूज चैनल्स हो, चाहे उनके डिजिटल मीडिया प्लेटफॉर्म्स हो। वो उस लीक इंफॉर्मेशन के आधार पर उन्होंने बाकायदा स्टोरी बनाना शुरू किया, जहां पे वो क्लीन चिट कॉर्पोरेशन, जो कॉर्पोरेट्स हैं, जो एविएशन इंडस्ट्री के जाने माने कॉर्पोरेशन हैं, उनको क्लीन चिट दे दी। चाहे वो बोइंग हो, जिसके ऊपर पहले भी सेफ्टी कंसर्न्स लग चुके हैं, इश्यूज हुए हैं, उठे हैं, चाहे वो जीई हो, जो बाकायदा इंटरिम रिपोर्ट बता रही है डबल इंजन फेलियर हुआ है, चाहे वो एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर हो। एयरक्राफ्ट कैरियर जो सीईओ हैं, उन्होंने ऑलरेडी अपने आप को क्लीन चिट दे दिया कि उनकी कोई गलती नहीं है, इग्नोरिंग कि 2 एडवाइजरीज भी जारी हुए थे कि अब जो फ्यूल स्विच है, जिसके बार बार लगातार उसका इस्तेमाल करके कहा जा रहा है पायलट्स की तरफ से गलती हुई है, अटकलें लगाई जा रही हैं, ये बताया जा रहा है कि कहीं ना कहीं इट वाज देयर प्रॉब्लम। तो तीनों को क्लीन चिट देने के लिए पूरा नैरेटिव एक दिन पहले से ही शुरुआत हो गया था। तो मैंने सिविल एविएशन मिनिस्टर के संज्ञान में लाते हुए मैंने कहा है इस पर बाकायदा कार्रवाई होनी चाहिए कि ऐसा क्यों है कि जो इन्वेस्टिगेट कर रहे हैं, जो जिनके पास ये इन्वेस्टिगेटिव फाइंडिंग्स होंगी, उनके यहां से ये लीक हुई है, और लीक हुई है तो किसने की है, क्यों हुई है, और दिस गोज अगेंस्ट इंडियाज इंटरेस्ट और जनता के इंटरेस्ट के खिलाफ है, और उन लोगों के परिवारों के खिलाफ है जिन्होंने अपने लोगों की जानें उसमें गंवाई हैं, और खास करके वो पायलट्स जिनकी अभी इंटरिम इन्वेस्टिगेशन रिपोर्ट है, फाइनल रिपोर्ट नहीं है, उनके ऊपर ये सारा दोष मढ़ा जा रहा है, जिनकी जानें जा चुकी हैं, वो अपना पक्ष रखने के लिए इस दुनिया में नहीं है। दूसरा जो मैंने कहा है कि रात के 2 बजे पे ये इंटरिम रिपोर्ट रिलीज करना without any media briefing, without any ministerial briefing, without any DGCA officials briefing it and acknowledging the release of the interim report, ये ट्रांसपेरेंसी और अकाउंटेबिलिटी के खिलाफ है।
That's all we have for this report though, but do stay tuned to HW News English as we bring you commentary and authentic analysis as far as the probe and what could be the possible causes of the crash of AI-171. Thanks for watching.